a lone car winding up the narrow road toward Hillcrest Manor. The headlights cut through the growing darkness as the car approaches the mansion. It pulls to a stop in front of the wrought iron gates, which creak open as if welcoming the arrival. John, a man in his late 30s, carrying a backpack and a camera. He pauses to take in the sight of the mansion before him, a mixture of awe and trepidation on his face. He is here to document the rumored hauntings of Hillcrest Manor for his blog. But as he stands before the decaying structure, a chill runs down his spine. John takes a deep breath, steels himself, and walks through the gates, which groan as they close behind him, John approaching the massive front doors of the manor. He hesitates for a moment, then pushes them open. The doors creak loudly, echoing through the empty halls as he steps inside. The foyer is vast and dark, with cobwebs hanging from the chandeliers and dust coating every surface. John flips on his flashlight, the beam cutting through the darkness, revealing the grandeur that once was. The camera follows him as he explores the house, moving from room to room. The wallpaper is peeling, the furniture is covered in white sheets, and the air is thick with the scent of decay. As John moves deeper into the house, the temperature drops, and the silence becomes almost oppressive. He begins to notice small, unsettling details. A family portrait with the faces scratched out, a mirror with a crack running through it like a jagged scar, and a child's toy left abandoned in the middle of the hallway. John setting up his camera in what appears to be the manor's parlor. The fireplace is cold and dead, the ashes long since settled. He begins recording, narrating his observations into a handheld recorder. As he speaks, the camera slowly pans across the room, capturing the eerie stillness. Suddenly, a faint sound echoes from somewhere deep within the house, a distant whisper, barely audible. John freezes, his heart pounding. He listens intently, but the whisper fades away, leaving only the oppressive silence. He shakes off the unease and continues his work, but the sense of being watched grows stronger. The shadows in the corners of the room seem to stretch and shift as if something is lurking just out of sight. John tries to ignore it, focusing on his camera, but as he reviews the footage, he notices something strange, a fleeting shadow passing behind him, something that wasn't there when he was recording. He rewinds the footage, but the shadow is gone, as if it never existed. John exploring the upper floors of the mansion. The floorboards creak under his weight, and the wind whistles through the broken windows, creating an eerie symphony of sounds. He enters a bedroom, long abandoned, with a canopy bed draped in dusty curtains. As he moves the flashlight across the room, he catches a glimpse of movement in the mirror. Startled, he turns to face it, but there is nothing there. The reflection shows only the empty room and his own pale face. Suddenly, the door behind him slams shut with a deafening crash. John rushes to the door, but it won't budge. Panic sets in as he hears the whispers again, this time closer, clearer. They seem to be coming from all around him, a chorus of disembodied voices murmuring unintelligible words. John's breath quickens as the temperature in the room drops even further, his breath visible in the air. He backs away from the door, his eyes darting around the room, searching for the source of the voices. The camera pans to the mirror, where a dark figure now stands behind him, a tall, shadowy silhouette with no discernible features. John spins around, but the room is empty. He turns back to the mirror, and the figure is gone. The whispers stop, leaving him alone in the freezing silence. John in the hallway, moving quickly, his flashlight beam trembling as he searches for a way out. The house seems to have changed. Corridors that once led to familiar rooms now twist and turn into unfamiliar passages. The walls feel closer, the ceiling lower, as if the house itself is closing in on him. He stumbles upon a staircase leading down to the basement, the door to which stands ominously open. Despite his better judgment, John descends into the darkness, the steps creaking underfoot. The basement is a labyrinth of shadows, the air damp and cold. As he ventures deeper, the walls close in and the whispers return, louder and more insistent. John's flashlight flickers, and in the brief moments of darkness, he catches glimpses of movement, fleeting shadows that seem to follow him, always just out of reach. He finds himself in a large, cavernous room filled with old, rotting furniture and strange symbols etched into the stone walls. In the center of the room stands a large, circular mirror covered in dust. As John approaches it, the whispers crescendo, becoming a deafening roar. The mirror begins to vibrate, the surface rippling as if it were liquid. John is transfixed, unable to look away as the reflection changes, showing not the basement, but a dark, twisted version of the mansion. The figure from before appears in the reflection, standing directly behind him. John spins around, but the room is empty. He turns back to the mirror, and the figure reaches out from the reflection, its hand emerging from the glass. The whispers become screams as John stumbles backward, tripping over debris and falling to the ground. The figure steps through the mirror, towering over him. John scrambles to his feet and runs, the figure in pursuit, its footsteps echoing through the basement. He reaches the staircase and ascends as fast as he can, but the house seems to stretch on forever, the staircase endless. John bursting out of the basement and into the foyer, gasping for breath. The house is alive with noise now, doors slamming, windows rattling, and the whispers growing louder, filling every corner of the mansion. He races toward the front door, but it slams shut just as he reaches it. John pounds on the door, screaming for help, but the house refuses to let him go. He turns to face the hall, where the shadowy figure now stands, blocking his escape. The figure advances slowly, the whispers growing louder until they are all John can hear. He backs away, desperately searching for a way out, but the house has become a maze of corridors and rooms that lead nowhere. In a final act of desperation, John grabs a nearby candelabra and swings it at the figure. It passes through the shadow harmlessly, as if the figure is made of smoke. The candelabra clatters to the ground, and the figure reaches out, its hand closing around John's throat. As the figure tightens its grip, the whispers turn into a deafening scream. John's vision blurs, the world around him fading as he is dragged toward the mirror. He fights, but the figure is too strong, pulling him inexorably toward the reflection. The last thing John sees before he is pulled into the mirror is his own terrified reflection, his face contorted in fear as he disappears into the darkness.